Okay, so in this video, we'll just look at your all study guide. I'm not going to go through all of the problems here, but I will pick at least one problem from each section here to kind of get you prepared for your test here coming up. Okay, so if we look at the first two questions, we are asked to find the area of the circle using a calculator's value of pi. Make sure we are rounding our answer to the nearest tenth. Okay, so I'm going to look at number 2. So we need to find the area of the circle given that the diameter, right? So we just want to look at a circle here. The diameter, so all the way across the center, is 13.8. Well, remember, in order to find the area of a circle, we are looking at pi r squared. So given the diameter, we've got to cut that guy in half to find our radius. So let's look at 13.8 over 2. And it is 6.9. So the radius of this circle is 6.9. So area is equal to 6.9 squared times pi. And then from there, all I'm going to do is I'm going to put all of that in my calculator, 6.9 squared, and use the value of pi from our calculator. We're going to hit enter. It gives us this 149.57. Remember, it is asking us to round our answer to the nearest tenth. So one decimal place will allow us to round this 5 up to a 6. And it looks like we should have had answer B there. Number 1, actually very similar process, but instead of having to cut in half because we have the diameter, number 1 actually gave you the radius there. All right, 3 and 4, we're asked to find the circumference of each circle using the calculator's value of pi. Well, the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r, or one way to think of it is 2 times the diameter. Okay, in the circle here, we are given that the diameter is 7.2. Oh, sorry, not 2 times the diameter, pi times the diameter. So the circumference is here, the diameter is 7.2. So 7.2 times pi. And again, we're just going to use the value that the calculator has in for our pi. So 7.2 times pi is 22.6. Looks like we have letter C. Number 4 is going to kind of follow a similar process there. Number 5 and 6, we're asked to find the area of our triangle. Let's look at number 6. Well, again, the formula for a triangle, or the area of the triangle, area is half of the base times the height, or you want to think of a base times height over 2. Regardless, it looks like this 4 is going to be our base, the 6.1 is our height. So the area is going to be 4 times 6.1 over 2. And again, let's put this in our calculator. Remember our parentheses because this is on top of the fraction. 4 times 6.1. And we are going to divide all of that in 2, right? It's half of this, so we're going to cut it in half. And I'm going to hit enter. We have 12.2. And we look at our results, and, well, letter A is our 12.2 there. Okay, and careful with your answers. You know, if we were to just multiply that 4 times 6.1, we probably would have got this 24.4. So, you know, the ACT and the Coyote test that we will be taking does like to kind of play similar tricks on you there, because it will understand those mistakes you should have probably made there. So just pay attention when you're answering. All right. It's question 7 and 8. Find the missing measurements. Okay, so it looks like we're dealing with some triangles. And there's some pieces missing, okay? So, all right, let's look at 8. It looks like they gave us the base. We need to find out the height, but they told us that the area is 41.6. So we know that the area is base times height over 2. They gave us the area, so we're going to substitute in what we know to solve for what we don't. So 41.6 is equal to 8. We'll just call this x. Okay, we'll call the height x because we don't know what it is, over 2. Okay, so we need to find the missing side length, right? We need to solve for x, all right? So the first step I'm going to do here is I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. So our calculator says 41 0.6 times 2, and we have 83.2 is now equal to the 8x. All right, and just using our solving equation skills, that's multiplication. So we'll undo multiplication through division. So this 83.2, we are going to divide by 8, and it tells us 10.4. It tells us to round our answer to the nearest tenth, so we'll keep that decimal of 0.4. As we look at our results, it looks like letter C tells us we have the 10.4. Cool. All right, 9 and 10, a lot more triangles here. We are asked to find the missing side. It's not telling us to use Pythagorean theorem, but this is kind of what looks like what it's hinting at. Number 9, remember Pythagorean theorem being a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared, where a and b are the sides of the triangle and c being the hypotenuse, the side opposite are right angle. Okay, so we've got one side length and we have the hypotenuse. So again, it doesn't matter if it's A or B, but we just know we need to solve for one of them. So 4 squared is 16 plus the b squared is equal to c squared, which c, right, this is going to be my value of c, this is my value of a, is 25. And again, we need to solve for a value of b, so I'm going to subtract 16 from both sides. So b squared is now equal to 9. We got to get rid of that square by square rooting. B is now equal to 3. And it looks like D tells us that, well, has an answer of 3. 10, very similar story there, but instead we need to solve for hypotenuse. So now you're going to be solving for C. So they gave you the two side lengths A and B. And lastly here, the last set of questions that you will see for your test is being able to solve when we see similar triangles. Okay, number 12, I know we did a lot of examples of this with our, when we did this section earlier in the week. When you see kind of triangles like this, we talked about how, you know, it may be easier to go ahead and draw them out. You've got the bigger triangle and the smaller triangle. Okay, so go ahead and separate those triangles out. But the relationship, it's pretty simple to see, right? The two triangles are there. The thing I want to talk about mainly is in question 11. Okay, these seem to be pretty straightforward. They might be organized or they're oriented maybe the same way. But what you really have to pay attention to is how it's given to you. Okay, so when they say triangle FGH is similar to triangle PQR, okay, these sides have a relationship, okay? So, hold on, my light went out. So don't assume that, you know, this side is going to be the same relationship as this side, okay? The triangles might look like they're oriented the same way, but you always can't take that for granted here. You really have to pay attention how they are awarded, okay? So the way we look at this is side FG is the same thing as PQ. So FG is the same thing as PQ. And look, they're not oriented correctly, okay? This one's kind of spun a little bit compared to that one, okay? So don't assume that, you know, the left side of this triangle is the same thing as that left side there. The bottom of this triangle is the same thing as the bottom of that triangle. Okay, you really need to pay attention to, you know, how the letters are arranged, right? So we see FGH, so we see FGH, PQR, PQR, okay? So that means that side GH is the same thing as QR. So GH is the same thing as saying QR. All right, so the sides that we need are labeled. So let's go ahead and do like the first tick. So I have big triangle over small triangle. So that question mark, we're just going to say is X. X, right, of the big triangle is the same side as 24 of the small triangle. Well, that is equal to the bigger triangle we have on top, right, is the bottom side is a 77, Well, and the side that corresponds with that with the smaller triangle is 33. Okay, so again, I just want to reiterate, make sure you are paying attention to how those letters are manipulated there, okay? And we can use our cross multiplication. So 24 times 77 is 1848. And we're going to cross multiply the 33 and x. So 33x is equal to 1848. To solve, we're going to divide both sides by 33. So then in my calculator, I'm just going to hit divide by 33, and we get 56. All right, hope this helps. Like I said, I did one problem of each side. It is multiple choice, so you should be able to, see your answers there. If we struggle, reach out, because like I said, we will have a test. Well, you can work on it throughout the week, but that is posted for tomorrow.